Hey guys, this is Eric Vasquez here with a brand new tutorial for you today from DesignCuts.com. Today we'll be creating a fun and playful birthday card design in Photoshop. To do this, we will be using elements from the Inspiring Creators Artistic Bundle, featuring over 30 high-quality creative fonts, tons of illustrations, graphics, effects packs, flourishes, vectors, and so much more. We'll be using some of these wonderful assets courtesy of Creative Vela, and along with Creative Vela's Fabric Kingdom, we'll make use of a handful of free fonts to complete our design. If you're ready to get started, then fire up Photoshop and let's begin. Now the first thing we want to do here is create a new document. So I'm first going to give my document a name and just call it Birthday Card Design. Leave the increments here set to inches, and then let's go ahead and change the width to 5 inches and the height to 7 inches. Leave the resolution set to 300. RGB is fine for now, but if you were going to print this, I would recommend working in CMYK instead. And then for the background contents, let's just go ahead and set it to white, although it really doesn't matter that much. And then go ahead and click Create. Now, the first thing we want to do here before we begin working is kind of customize our workspace based on what we're going to be doing. So the first thing I want to do here is come up to Window and open the Actions panel. Now I'm just going to click and drag this over here so I have it, close the History panel. And what I want to do is click on this little hamburger menu and then choose Load Actions. Now I'm going to come into the freebies folder for this tutorial and go into the Stitch Brushes folder and choose stitchaction.atn and open. Now you will have loaded the action right here, and if you click this little arrow next to the folder, you'll see that you have the action inside. Now I'm just going to go ahead and remove the default actions for now so that we can just keep our stitch action that we're going to be using. Now from here, come up to the Edit menu, come down to Presets and choose Preset Manager. Now in here you can set up all of the things that we want to load, from brushes, swatches, gradients, all kinds of presets. But let's go ahead and load some of the custom brushes that we're going to be using. Come over here to where it says Load, and now come back to that folder, the freebies folder for the tutorial, and we'll go back into the Stitch Brushes folder and choose this brush. It's the Stitch 6 long21.abr file, and then choose Open for that. Now, you'll see that your custom brush has been added to the very bottom of the brush presets. So what I'm going to do now is select the one just above it, hold Shift and select my very top brush, and then just choose Delete. Now you're not permanently deleting brushes or presets when you do this, you're simply narrowing it down so that this is the only one that we're going to be working with. Now from here, I'll go to Preset Type, and instead of brushes, I'll come over to Styles. Now from here, we're going to load some of the graphic styles of the Fabric Kingdom pack. So before we do that, let's go ahead and click on this first style here, or whichever one you have loaded. Hold the Shift key and select the last graphic style in the Styles panel. Now we'll choose Delete here as well, so that we can start clean, start fresh. I'm going to come over to Load once again, go back to the freebie folder for the tutorial, inside Creative Vela, and choose, Photoshop Styles. And here we have our Stitch and Fabric Styles 300 dpi.asl file. So let's go ahead and click on that and choose Open. Great, now you'll see that we have 4 graphic styles loaded here. We've got a Felt 2, Chintz, Fleece, and Flax Light. Now go ahead and click Done. So what I'm going to do now is come over here to my Layers panel and maybe just click and drag it over to the side here. All right, something like that. Come up to the Window menu, come all the way down and choose Styles. And now I can grab the Styles panel, and if I hover it over here just below the actions, you'll see that it turns blue and it allows me to attach them to one another. So I'll do the same thing with the layers and just attach it so that I can basically have this whole kind of floating dock here with my layers, my styles, and my actions. Now the brushes we don't have to worry about so much, but we're going to set this up for now because we will be using these quite a bit. So once you've set up your workspace, we're all ready to get started. Now press U on the keyboard to begin to get your rectangle tool. Come up here to where it says Fill, and then choose this color picker icon from the top right. Now in here, we're going to go ahead and enter the hex value 2A568E, which is this nice blue color. Go ahead and click OK. And now what I want to do is just click and drag out a large rectangle that fills the entire canvas. Now from here, go ahead and click on the first layer style to give it this nice kind of fleece texture. And you'll notice right away when you do that you have an effects icon down here that has a pattern overlay and a drop shadow applied. Now once you've done that, you can just come down here and scrap that background layer. And that's why I said at the beginning, it doesn't really matter if it was filled with white or filled with black, because we're just going to trash it anyway. Let's come up to the File menu and choose Open so that we can begin importing some of our other shapes. Now these shapes are all part of the Fabric Kingdom pack, and there's a bunch more that you guys will gain access to with the full bundle. But for now, we're just going to be using a small handful of these. So let's start by opening the vectors waves hills.psd file. All right, I'm going to open this up and just click and drag it over here into my document, press Command Control and the tilde key to toggle over here to this window and then close it. And now I'm going to select the waves hills shape layer, press Command Control T to do a free transform, and I'm just going to drag outwards from either the top left or the bottom left handle while holding the Shift key, and then do the same on the opposite side until it kind of spans the width of your entire document. Now you'll notice here, because it's a shape, that it's actually got tons of points here. It's a vector shape basically, so we can modify and move these points around a little bit. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to press P on the keyboard, which normally would be the pen tool. But if you come over here to your toolbar, I can click and hold on that tool, and instead I'm going to select the Convert Point tool. Now what this allows me to do is basically modify and drag around these shapes. So I'm just going to click and drag around all these points here, maybe hold the Shift key to click and select a few more, and then hold the Shift key and tap the down arrow, or just hold the down arrow, to extend these points all the way to the bottom. This will essentially just modify the shape to make it look like it extends all the way down. Once you've done that, you can just click on the Move tool and kind of deselect it. So once you've done that, what we're going to do is press U on the keyboard once again, come up here to the Fill swatch, choose the color picker, and for this shape, let's go ahead and fill it with the hex value 3071C1, which is a lighter shade of blue. Go ahead and click OK, select your Move tool once again, and then apply the Fleece Layer Style, or Layer Style 3. And now you can see we've got some nice waves and hills going on top of our background layer. Next thing I'm going to do is add a new layer, press T to get my type tool, and click anywhere along the top of the canvas. Now I'm going to type out the words, just the word happy. Alright, press Command Control A to select your text, come up to Window and choose Character to open the character panel. Okay, now once you have your character panel open over here, I'm going to change this to the free typeface called The Minion. Now, there's a link for this typeface where you guys can download it from dafont.com in the written portion of this tutorial, so be sure to check that out. Download the fonts so you can follow along. Now, you'll notice I just clicked my cursor here between the H and the A, hold down the Alt-Option key, and just tap the right arrow a few times to add a little bit of space between those two characters. Now, once you've done that, go ahead and click and drag around the text to highlight the whole thing, and over here in your character panel, just change the size to about 56 and leave the color set to white. Now from here, come up to this icon to create a warped text, or a warped version of the text, and what we want to do is, for the style, we're going to choose Arc. Leave the horizontal bend selected, and change the bend value to 22, and then press Return or Enter on the keyboard. Now once you've done that, just click on the Move tool to deselect it, and what I'm going to do now is hold the Control key and click on the text and choose Convert to Shape. Alright, and that's going to convert our live text into basically a vector shape like we had before with our waves, hills, and everything else. So now that we've done that, it basically allows us to apply styles. So let's go ahead and apply the first style to our text. And if I zoom in, you can see that it now has a nice texture applied to it, just like our background. So I'm going to select that shape layer now and press Command Control J to duplicate it, and then Command Control and the left bracket to move it down below the original. Go ahead and double click on this layer to open the layer styles, and we're going to add an effect to this. So come down here to this effects icon and choose Stroke from the menu. Change the position to outside and the size to about 40, and you can leave the fill color set to black, and then go ahead and click OK. Now that we've done that, hold the Control key and click on the copy, and let's go ahead and convert it to a smart object. Now I can double click to come inside of this smart object, hold the Control key and click on the layer, and choose Rasterize Layer Style. Now by rasterizing the layer style, it's basically merging the stroke and the fill together to create one solid shape. So what that allows us to do is hold the Command Control key, click on the layer thumbnail icon to activate a selection around it, and then I'm going to click on the adjustment layer icon and add a solid color adjustment layer. Now from here, let's go ahead and enter the hex value CF5151, and then go ahead and click OK. Okay, and now that you've done that, you can see that I just popped this window out really quick so we can get a better look. And you'll see that there is now a layer mask applied to it because it's being constrained to the selection that we made around the whole shape. So now that you've done that, just go ahead and press Command S to save it and Command Control W to close the tab, and you'll see that it's updated here. So now all we have to do is apply a layer style. And you do have to kind of go through that process a little bit in order to add a stroke or make it bolder and still apply a style. So it may seem a bit confusing, but it really just is a couple of extra steps. Now let's go back up to the File menu and choose Open once again. Navigate to the Vectors Shape31.psd and click Open. And I'm going to click and drag this shape into my document, move it below both of the happy layers, press Command-Control-T to do a free transform, and then click and drag outwards from any of the four corners of the bounding box while holding the Alt, Option, and Shift keys. Now I'm going to select the shape, hold Shift, and select my top happy shape layer so that all three of these layers are selected. Now I'll come up here and I will choose from the Align tools on the top, Align Horizontal Centers. Okay, just to make sure everything is nice and aligned. Now select only the shape here, and let's come over and press U to get our fill. Click on the fill color, click on the color picker, and then type in the hex value 98BC5E, which is this nice kind of green color, and then go ahead and click OK. Click on the Move tool and apply Style 1. Okay, so that looks pretty good, and it really helps our text to pop out a little bit more. Come back to the File menu and choose Open, or you can just press Command-Control-O on the keyboard. And now we're going to bring in our vector grass2.psd. And very similarly to what we did before, I'm just going to click and drag this over here to my document, press Command-Control+T to do a free transform, and just scale it up a bit, not too much. Now, what we're going to do is just slide this over here to one side, to the left side, and kind of crop it a little bit like that. Maybe move it down as well. And then I'll press Command-Control-J to duplicate it, and I'll just move this copy to the other side and crop it a little bit further in just so it looks different. Now, just like before, because this is a shape, as I mentioned, you can use the Convert Point tool to click and drag around some of these points. So I'm just going to click and drag around these points on the right side, hold the Shift key and the right arrow, and extend this all the way across so that it attaches to the other grass shape on the opposite side. Okay, so that basically creates this kind of look like it's creating a solid horizon line here for us. So now I'll press U once again, and this time I'm just going to click and drag out a rectangle that intersects with those grass shapes to fill in the bottom of the canvas. Now press U again, come up here to fill, and you should have that green color that we just used under recently used colors. So go ahead and click on that, and then use the same color, press U, click on fill, do the same thing for both copies of the grass. Okay, so we want all three of these shapes to be filled with the same color. Now select the grass, hold Shift and select the other copy so that you've got all three of these layers selected together. Hold Control and choose Convert to Smart Object after clicking on it. Okay, and now all we need to do is apply Style 1. Or maybe let's go Style 3. That looks pretty good. Okay, so now we've got some grass, we've got our hills, and we've got our background. And we can now just kind of move this down a little bit if we want, just so we can see more of the hills there. Alright, now let's go ahead and add another new layer. Press T once again to get the type tool, and this time I'll type out the word birthday. Once again, move your cursor between the A and the Y, hold the Alt Option key, and tap the left arrow a few times just to decrease the amount of space between those two characters. Maybe do the same between the R and the T, just one or two clicks should be fine. And the B and the I, just so we can try to have some pretty uniform spacing between each of the letters here. Now, I'm going to use the character panel again, so press T, click inside the text a few times to highlight it, and let's just reduce the size of this a bit to maybe 49 or 50 point. Okay, now what we're going to do is go ahead and convert this to a shape like we did before. So hold the Control key, click on the text layer, and choose Convert to Shape. Now I'll go ahead and apply Style 1, just like we did with our happy text up here. And now I'm going to do what we did before. So press Command-Control-J to duplicate it, Command-Control and the left bracket to move it down, double-click on the layer styles, click on this effects icon, and add another stroke, position set to outside, and a size of 40 pixels, then go ahead and click OK. Now I'm going to hold the Control key, click on the layer, and convert it to a smart object once again. Double-click to come inside the smart object, hold Control and click on the shape layer and choose Rasterize Layer Style. Okay, and let me just pop out this panel for a second here so we can see what we're doing. All right, and then what I'm going to do is hold Command Control and click on the layer to activate a selection around the entire shape. Come down to the adjustment layer icon and choose Solid Color. Now, once again, we're going to use the same color we used before. Let's type in the hex value CF5151. Press Return, Command Control S to save it, Command Control W to close the window, and now we can apply Style 4 to our text. All right, so we now have our birthday text and the happy text along the top. Let me select both of these birthday layers, hold the Shift key, maybe just tap it down a few times, and we can maybe bring the hills up a little bit, just to kind of, give it a little bit of space there, give it some room. And now let's move on. I'm going to go ahead and create another new layer, press T to get the type tool, and now type out the number 10. I'll click between the numbers and hold the Alt Option key and just tap the right arrow once or twice. Press Command Control A to select all of your text. And now let's go ahead and change the size of this text to 170 point. Okay, so we want to make it nice and big. Hold the Control key, click on the text layer, and choose Convert to Shape. And now let's go ahead and press U, click on the fill color, choose the color picker, and for the hex value, let's enter FBEB66, which is this nice kind of yellowish color here. And then from there, click on the Move tool to deselect it and apply Style 2. Okay, I'm going to press Command Control J to duplicate the layer, Command and the left bracket to move it down one spot. Just go ahead and collapse those two layers. All right, and now I'm going to double click this layer to open the Layer Style panel. Choose Effects and add another stroke. Change the position to outside, and this time instead of 40, let's enter a value of about 65 because we want it to be a bit larger since we're dealing with a larger piece of text here. Now, once you've done that, hold the Control key, click on the layer, and convert it into a Smart Object. Come inside the Smart Object, hold Control, click on the layer, and choose Rasterize Layer Style. Hold the Command Control key, click on the layer thumbnail icon to activate a selection, and then come down to the adjustment layer icon and choose Solid Color. Now, for the fill here, let's enter the hex value 81CFA0, which is this kind of minty green color. Then press OK, Command Control S to save, Command Control W to close it, and now we can go ahead and add our fourth layer style, the Flax Light layer style. All right, and that gives it this nice kind of canvas or like burlap sack type of texture here. What I'm going to do next is select both of these layers, press Command Control T, and just kind of reposition them a little bit so we can, configure our shapes here. Let's move these below our happy text. I'm going to grab that shape behind the happy text and move that up here. All right. Actually, no, we need that to be behind the 10. So let's just grab both of those happy text layers and hold the Command Control key, click on the Shape 31 layer so you can select it even though it's not right next to it, and then go ahead and hold the Shift key and tap up a few times. Okay, so that way we're just giving a little bit of space there. Now I'll select the birthday shape, hold Command Control or Shift, and click on the copy just below it, and then move that down a couple of clicks as well. And then we can select our grass, and maybe just tap that down a little bit there, and bring the birthday shapes down a little bit more. So if I zoom out, you can see that we're just trying to space this out a little bit and create a nice looking composition. Now select your main 10 shape layer and press Command Control J to duplicate it, and then hold the Control key, click on the layer, and choose Convert to Smart Object. Now what we want to do this time is open our brush panel. So come up to the window menu and choose Brush Settings, or actually let's go ahead and just choose Brushes. Okay, and for this, make sure that your foreground color is set to white over here in the toolbar. If it is not, you can press D on the keyboard and then the X key to toggle back and forth until white is the foreground color. Now press B on the keyboard and click on the brush here. And now where it says 80 pixels, I'm going to change the size to 30 pixels, and then we can close that. And now I'm going to select this 10 copy to Smart Object layer above the other two 10 layers, and I'm going to come into my action folder, select the stitch action, and you can now choose play to play the action. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. Now you may see this message here that just says the command apply is not currently available. Don't sweat it, just click continue and let the action finish. Now once you've done that, it creates this nice kind of stitch effect all the way around the letters, and we can mess around with some of these layer styles. I'm going to apply Style 2 to get this chintz kind of style applied to my stitching. Now let's go ahead and double click this layer to open the layer style panel, and we want these to pop a little bit more. So come down to the effects icon and add a bevel and emboss. Now here I'm just going to check off this contour option, and if I check off the preview, you can see that it adds a nice effect to give it some depth and dimension. So now let's just go ahead and click OK. So we've used our action and our custom brushes to add this nice stitch pattern. And again, I should mention that in the full bundle, you guys will gain access to a bunch of these brushes with all kinds of different cool stitching and embroidery looks to them. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and add another new layer, press T on the keyboard, and just type out the letters TH in all caps. I'll grab my move tool, then press Command Control T to do a free transform, hold Alt Option and Shift and scale this way down, move the TH over here to the top right of the numbers, and then just go ahead and rotate it a bit as well. Now, once you're happy with the size and placement of those letters, let's just go ahead and click Control, click on the text, and choose Convert to Shape, and then just apply this first style to it. Alright, I'm going to close the character panel for now, come up to File and choose Open once again, and now I'm going to open both of these cloud shapes, Cloud 1 and Cloud 5, and choose Open. I'm going to move these to the side here, and I'm just going to drop both of these in. So we have Cloud 1, close a few of these windows, and we have Cloud 5. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is select Cloud 1, press U on the keyboard, and go ahead and choose the fill color here. I'll just give it a solid white fill, and then apply the first layer style. Okay, so we have Cloud 1, and I'm going to move this down, maybe over here actually in the lower right, and then press Enter to commit to the changes. Select Cloud 5, press U, come up to the fill color, and under Recently Used Colors, just select the white, and apply the first style once again. Press Command Control T to do a free transform, and let's just move this cloud over, maybe scale it up a little bit, and have it just overlap part of the 10 here. Alright, so we're getting some nice depth and dimension here by overlapping these clouds with a little bit of a drop shadow on them. Now press Command Control O once again to open the Vector Star 1 PSD. I'm going to drag and drop this shape into my document, press U on the keyboard, and then I'll come up here to the fill, choose the color picker, and let's enter the hex value FBEB66, which is this pale yellow color. Alright, and then I'll go ahead and apply maybe style 3. Let's go with that. Now press Command Control T to do a free transform, and I'm just going to scale it up a bit. Alright, and if you're having trouble grabbing it and moving it around, I suggest just zooming in with Command Control and the plus key. And now all I'm going to do is just kind of apply one of these to the upper right hand corner, and then let's go ahead and make a few copies. Press Command Control J. Alright, drag this copy over here somewhere, maybe shrink it down a little bit, rotate it, just to get some variation. Alright, maybe somewhere about there. Make another copy. Let's move this copy down. Alright, again, we can rotate it, play with the scale, make it a little bit smaller still. Alright, some more over here. And then I'll go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. Select the first copy, press Command Control J to duplicate it, click and drag to bring it to the other side, press Command Control T to do a free transform and scale it down while holding the Shift key, and then just rotate it a bit. Okay, same thing, make another copy. And we want to go for maybe, 5, 6 copies should be good. Just going to make that a bit smaller. Press Command Control J to duplicate it. Alright, move this copy over here. And maybe I'll just scale it up a little bit and rotate it a little bit more, just to get some variation there. Alright, and that looks pretty good. So now what I want to do is select my top star in the Layers palette, hold the Shift key and select the very bottom star so that you've got all these copies selected. Press Command Control G to put it into a group folder, double click on the Group 1 text, and just call this Stars. Now I'll press Command Control in the right bracket to make sure that this folder is above the clouds. And I will go ahead and select my Cloud 5 layer, hold Shift and select Cloud 1, and then press Command G to put it into a group folder, call this Clouds. And I'm basically just going to do this with each of these shapes here. So I'm actually going to move these happy layers down a little bit in the Layers panel, alright, so that it can be next to my shape 31. press Command Control G, double click the Group 1 text and call this Happy. All right, grab the waves and hills, put it in a folder, just call it Waves. You can grab the rectangle, just put it in a BG folder. And I'm basically just going through here and putting each of these elements into folders to help keep things nice and organized. All right, and then for the 10, we can grab all these layers together, and I'm just going to call this 10th. All right, so now everything is nice and organized. All right, guys, press Command Control O once again, and come back to the freebies for this tutorial. And this time, let's go ahead and open vectorsjupiter.psd. Click and drag, and you'll notice that this time we have a folder instead of a shape. Okay, so that means that our folder has two shapes inside of it. We've got the rings, and we've got the planet itself. So let's go ahead and drag this whole folder into our working document here. Press Command Control T to scale it up a bit, and then let's move it a little bit to the side here. All right, and I want it to overlap the 10, so it can be at the top of the layers palette. Now I'll come inside and apply Style 1 to both of these shapes, and we'll go ahead and change the colors of them individually. So select the top shape layer inside here, press U to get the shape tool, come up to the fill, choose the color picker, and now we'll type in the hex value 3071C1, which should match our waves and hills. All right, now go ahead and select the other shape to get the planet itself. Press U, click on the fill color swatch, choose the color picker, and for this I'll enter the hex value EB9D41, which is this nice kind of orange color here. All right, and that adds a nice bit of variation. Now, if you want, you can kind of, play around with the positioning and the size of the planet a little bit, but I think that looks pretty good like there. And now let's go ahead and choose File, Open once again. All right, this time I'm going to go ahead and open the Vectors Rocket 1 PSD, which is this cool cartoonish looking rocket. And once again, I'm just going to bring this entire folder into my document. Now this time I'm going to bring the rocket somewhere over here, click on it while holding the Control key and choose Flip Horizontal so that it's going the other way, and then maybe just scale it up a little bit like that. All right, it's kind of nice maybe having it overlap the cloud and even the 10 just a little bit if you want. And now let's go ahead and customize these shapes inside. Now I'm going to go shape by shape inside of this folder and apply the first style. All right, or I can just select them all and apply Style 1 all at the same time. But as for the colors, let's go ahead and customize this a little bit. Now I'm just going to turn off all of these layers and kind of go, layer by layer here. We'll start with the wings in the back. Press U on the keyboard to get the rectangle shape tool, or the rectangle tool. Click on the fill color here. And now for the fill color, let's go ahead and use that same orange from our recently used colors. All right, I'm going to then select the inner flame shape here. Press U, and I'll apply that same orange. And then let's also do that with the, let's see here, with this ring in the back. Okay, press U once again. Let's make that orange as well. And now for the body of the ship, I'll turn that layer on, press U, check off the fill color, and I'll enter the hex value 0E3F68, which is this nice deep blue. Okay, and then turn on the next layer here, which is the outer part of that flame. So press U, click the fill color, then the color picker, and now I'll enter the hex value C13030. Press OK, and let's go ahead and turn on the next layer here, which are these bars on the ship. Press U, choose the fill color, make it solid white. And lastly, for this kind of inner porthole color, press U, click fill, and now for the fill color, I'll use that same light blue, which was 3071C1, and press enter. So we've now colored each part of our rocket ship in our design. All right, and if you want to, you guys can move some of these things around. It's not set in stone, so just play around with the elements and some of these shapes to get them looking the way you want. So I can take Cloud 5, maybe move it up here a little bit more if I want, just to give the ship some breathing room. All right, we'll move that up a little bit. I'll select that star that's on top. All right, move that up here. Something like that. Looking pretty good. All right, now let's go ahead and go File, Open once again. And I will now import the vector lion, which is this cute little lion character that we're going to bring in here. And let's go ahead and bring him down here so he can roam in the grass. Alright, I'll drag and drop that entire folder in here, press Command-Control-T to do a free transform, and let's just move the lion somewhere down here in the lower left. That looks pretty good. Alright, and I'm going to move the birthday text up just a bit, maybe move the grass down a bit as well, just so that the lion can overlap a little more. Alright, now I'll press Command, Control, and the plus key to zoom in so that we can get a better look at the lion. Alright, let's go ahead and open that folder. And I'm just going to go through layer by layer here, check out each of these shapes. And we're actually going to leave these first two as is because they're just, the facial features, the nose and mouth, and we want to leave those set to black. Okay, so what we can do here is just go through. I'll get the light part of the tail, maybe the body and the head, and I'll apply layer style 3, the fleece texture, to each of those. Okay, and now press U on the keyboard, come up here to the fill color after selecting each of those 3 layers. Click on the color swatch, and let's go ahead and fill this with FEE3C9, which is this kind of pale orange color. Okay, and then we can turn on those other 2 layers for the hair or the mane. And let's go ahead and apply style 2. Press U on the keyboard, click the fill color, choose the color picker, and now we'll use the hex value FF873D, which is this nice orange color. Okay, and there we go. We now have a nice, cheerful, and playful looking lion. So let's just go ahead and add a few more details here. I'm just going to play around with the positioning a little bit. Go ahead and create a new layer. Press T on the keyboard. Click with your type tool. And this is going to be way too big, I can tell already, so I'm going to bring up my character panel again. And this time, let's go ahead and type out a couple of letters here just so I can resize it. So what I want to do is, after I reduce this in size, I'm going to make it about 12 point. And let's go ahead and change the font from the Minion to another free typeface called Hogfish Demo Regular. Now this is another font that you guys can download for free from dafont.com, and be sure to check the written portion of the tutorial to download that file. Now that we have switched our font, I'm going to go ahead and type out Saturday, September 15 at 3 p.m. Press return on the keyboard, and then I'll type out Willoughby Ave VT 05401. Now go ahead and press Command-Control-A to select all of your text, and select the leading setting over here in your character panel, and enter a value of about 16. Alright, so that's just going to make it, make the spacing a little bit better there. Now all I'm going to do is maybe nudge this over, move it down a little bit, and I'll click with my text tool in front of the word Willoughby, and maybe press tab a few times just to kind of offset this and move it over here. Okay, just so we can get some nice kind of, staggered looking offset text. Right, something like that looks pretty cool. And now once you've done that, go ahead and hold the Control key, click on the text layer, and choose Convert to Shape. And now we'll go ahead and apply Layer Style 2, which is the chintz pattern or texture. Alright, and there you have it, guys. This now completes our playful and fun birthday card design in Photoshop. So in this tutorial, I've showed you guys a lot of things. We've looked at how we can, use our preset manager to load actions, brushes, styles, and kind of customize our workspace before we dig into creating this really cool and fun design. Now we've used a couple of, really nice vector shapes in here, and applied some beautiful handmade fabric styles, courtesy of Creative Vela. And this is just one of many packs that you guys can get in the all-new Inspiring Creators Artistic Bundle. So be sure to check that out. It features awesome creation packs that work beautifully together, so you can create gorgeous works in no time. So I hope that you guys have enjoyed this tutorial and hopefully learned some new tips and tricks along the way. We'd love to see what you guys do with these elements and how you use them in your own work, so be sure to share that with us. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. My name is Eric Vasquez, and we'll see you next time.